Hey guys, welcome to this upload for you guys here on Wrestling Fan Open Mic Night. 34 of you now. Wow, 34. Yes, 4. Can't believe 34 of you have hit that subscribe button. I can't thank you enough. Keep subscribing and obviously keep coming back for honesty towards professional wrestling. Now, I just want to say to everyone of you guys I've already gave you my thoughts and opinions towards night one. Please check that out. Please do. You're more than welcome to. What I want to actually say to you guys is when I'm looking at night two, and I've watched night two, it's just literally just finished. All I can say is job well done, WWE. You can put Clinic of a PLE on, but you had to spread it over 2 nights. You could have spread the card out a bit better than you did. Then you would have actually had mixed emotions that doesn't overshadow pretty much what you did last night. And that's sad to say because obviously, even though, last night was flat, boring, bland, even though there was some taken from that show that you could actually say was good. But then you look at the aspect of it, what we actually got, the product that we got. And I'm literally looking and I'm like, I was really skeptical going in tonight, but even though I read the card to myself and I'm like, I'm watching this, I've got a feeling it's going to deliver tonight, and it fucking did. Job well done. You made night two of SummerSlam deliver more than night one, let alone more than night 1 and 2. The only drawbacks I would actually say to everyone that is out there that is actually watching this is where was the blood in certain match types? The cage match, not a fan of. It seems like you're already setting up my family versus the bloodline at Survivor Series again. We don't need that shit. I don't like the new variations of sort of things because we've already got like last Survivor Series. We've actually had the likes of the OG bloodline versus the bloodline. We don't need to keep repeating this self. But I do not like the whole concept of the family or whatever you want to class them as. Solis Koa's group. I just don't get it. You know, you're making Jacob Fatu look weak doing what you're doing because every time when they have a match, they have an interference. Interference. How many times do you need to interfere in a fucking match with a feud? And when I'm on about like the blood, where was the blood in the match between Becky and Lyra? Let alone I wanted Lyra to win that match. It just, unless you are pushing her towards the women's title, I see it necessary the way you did the ending. It makes sense doing the ending like that. If you don't push her anywhere near the women's title within the next 8 weeks, would say, or you're gonna do it probably at Clash at Paris, you need to build her up that way now, because I feel like the way you've done the ending, that you must be setting up someone like Naomi versus Lyra, or you're setting up Tiffany Stratton versus Lyra. Please, for fuck's sake. It's got to be done something like that if you are going to do that sort of ending. Brock Lesnar coming back after what of a clinic of a main event we actually had. Was it necessary to bring him back? Brock Lesnar's already said since before he decided to leave and left in 2004 that he said John Cena wouldn't be a big name in professional wrestling if he never left. The catch was, though, when you were booked weak in your final run, it wasn't that great. But when you was booked as the next big thing, and you became that next big thing, and you didn't like the popularity back then, you know, and I feel like he's right because because when he decided to leave, he did get the dream match technically that fans didn't want, him versus Goldberg at WrestleMania 20, and that was a lackluster of a match because you knew full well they weren't into it. Both people left the company. So I look at the way you've done this, and to say Zena's got the last 10 appearances now until the end of the year, is this going to be technically Zena's final match of his career because of someone jealous and then claim that he was the one that retired John Cena? I feel like we're hard done by as wrestling fans if we get that. Even though it does make sense, but I feel like it's hard done by. Because at the end of the day, my friend who runs Turning Heel on Facebook, my good old friend David Anderson, John Cena's only getting his greatest hits. He's not wrong. You look at fucking some of the elements from tonight's match. You literally had different elements from his matches over his career. And it was well put together, don't get me wrong. Clinic of a main event. But the way Cody literally got passing the torch sort of thing, I'm not being funny, you big that up. You can't say he's passed the torch because technically Cody is not his last match. But I like the way John Cena said to him, "You're the new John Cena now." And they reckon the way Michael Cole's big in Cody Rhodes, that he's going to be with the company for 10 years. For the next 10 years, it's going to be Cody. I'm not a fan of that idea. And that's just me saying this as an honest person. You left the company, you shat on the company. Then you go to make another company. Don't get me wrong, I'm not knocking this. But you go to another company, you set up another company, you have a backstage fallout, you leave a company, then go back to the company that you shit on. That was the whole idea when you set up that company in the first place. And with the throne, you took a sledgehammer to the throne. Can you remember that? Or you completely forgot what actually happened? I'm not being horrible or anything, but someone needs to overshadow Cody. They're already dubbing him as Cody Hogan, and I feel like he's Cody Cena. He's going to be plowed down on our throats now. We've got to get used to this. I wish the likes of John Cena was literally facing someone different, to lose the title to. Like someone young, someone that's even if end of that match, would have gave it a different element. I know Karrion Kross is rumored to be and Scarlett Bordeaux are meant to be rumored to leaving the company, because it's not renewed their contract. He would have been perfect to come out at the end. I feel, honestly, it would have been someone different to face the likes of John Cena. And he'd be the one to retire him in his final run, his last 10 appearances. It would have made sense. LA Knight. Someone that is basically young, that people are liking, and it would have made more sense. Even though it does make sense anyway. But I'm not a fan of this idea. Because it's not saying that I'm bashing WWE for it. But I just feel like this has overshadowed everything. Bringing Brock Lesnar back. Okay, what's that proving? Oh, yeah, you're facing John Cena. The reason when he came back into the company in the first place, back in the day, when he first came back in, was it 2013 or 2012 or something? He literally faced John Cena Made Him Bleed at Extreme Rules, or was it Backlash? I can't remember which. Was it 2013 or 2012 when he came back? Or was it 14? It was either way. But the catch is you brought back. What's this leave with Paul Heyman now? He don't need. That's why it makes it even more of a mess. You know? But don't get me wrong, tonight delivered. You've beaten what you've done on WrestleMania over both nights. You beat what you did last night. Don't get me wrong, all those matches apart from that cage match delivered for me. I was really impressed with Dominic and AJ Styles. I was impressed with the TLC match. I was Carnage, the triple threat between the women. That was actually amazing. You know? It proves that WWE can actually do it. Do a really, really good fucking show for the masses. Why couldn't you do this for night one? Have that same feeling. You know? But do we have to... do we have to sit with Brock? Like, the weird thing about it was, even though Cody got the title, I felt like Cody should have got the title later on in the year. From John Cena. That would make more sense. Not like 10 more appearances left. Because I'm saying this to you, the people that are watching this at home. It makes more sense if Cody was his last match later on in the year. I've said this many, many moons ago on TikTok. I says I wanted Cody Rhodes to be his final match of his career. This was before he was even in the title picture towards it. You know, this was because obviously they've got to build the company around him. Obviously, WWE's probably watched my video. I doubt it, but if you know what I mean. Because I feel like that would make more sense. If you're building up your next person to take over, that would have been ideal. And why couldn't they have this sort of match at WrestleMania? You know? It just baffles me. As a wrestling fan, when I'm watching this, I feel like tonight's show turned from an FU to an F5. You know? It's weird. It's weird when you think about it. That it's very rare that I say I'm impressed what WWE has to offer. Very rare this day and age. I've said it in the previous video. Evolution All Women's pay-per-view delivered. They've kept the momentum going for the women. Don't get me wrong. The Rhea Ripley triple threat with Naomi. Io Shirai. You know, she literally had a great triple threat there. The TLC match with the White Six, you know, I'm not going through all the members, there's too many. It was absolutely just fucking carnage. It doesn't top their TLC, the certain tag teams that were in the TLC. Then SummerSlam after, Survivors. I'm getting the names wrong because I'm literally exhausted. The SmackDown after WrestleMania, even though it was actually a solid one, it was a carnage one. It was bodies everywhere, tables everywhere, chairs everywhere, women everywhere. Yeah, there was women too, if you did watch it. You know? It just... Why have you decided to do this out of the blue? Are you trying to prove a point that you can do a good PLE? I'm open Clash in Paris is a good PLE. Now? Because you don't want to lose the momentum going forward. That you got good going for you. I'm literally like, holy fucking shit. You know? How have you done this for night 2? You should do it like for the whole. If the whole freaking. This is why I say the card should have been mixed up a lot more. You know, my emotions are all over the place tonight. I'm more burned out tonight than I was last night. Even though last night was boring and bland and etc., like I've already said. But I'm looking at this one and I'm like, how you changed things in 24 hours? That's WWE for you. But that's just my thoughts and opinions. Tell me your thoughts, please do in the comments.